The self-evaluation may raise some questions for you. First 8 questions are some statistics. Because my experience, a lot of churches keep statistics, but not necessarily ones that are helpful. I have 3 years here. The more years you do, the more meaningful the statistics, the more they'll show you. What was the total number of pledging units in the congregation, the total amount pledged, the total number of households or potential pledging units. Well, let's talk about the zeros here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about everybody in the parish. What was the average pledge? Divide number 2 by number 1. What was the average giving per household? Divide number 2 by number 3. Indeed, you need to be able to realize that the total giving in the parish may not have done much, but gosh, if you look at number 5, we reached a lot of people who were not previously responding at all. Maybe the Stewardship Committee set out in response to this last question, and you began to reach some of those people and draw them back in. Number 5 will show that in a way that number 4 will not. If you reach some unchurched people who don't know anything about giving, your average pledge may go down. And that's good news, because you've got a lot of people who never heard about Jesus before come in and start giving $100. Well, you can view that as rejoicing, or you can say they dropped our average pledge. Well, you got to look beyond those kind of gross statistics that people look at. I don't over-exalt the numbers, but you got to look at something. If you're going to look at the numbers, please look at something beyond the bottom line, as it were, so you can begin to see what impact you're having in the life of the parish. The single most important number is 6. What was the percentage change in continuing pledges? That is to say, pledges made in both the previous and current years. You take people who pledged this year who also pledged last year. If you add up what those people gave last year, add up what those same people gave this year, subtract them, and divide the difference into year A, you get a percentage change. And that shows you the impact you're having on people's lives as reflected in their giving. And we have seen many times in our congregation, as lots of people leave and other people come, sometimes very committed tithers leave and very unchurched new Christians come, and the giving goes up and down and average pledge goes up and down. When you look at that figure and we see that there's significant change in the lives of people who gave last year and gave this year, that says to us that people really are hearing the educational program. The message is getting through to some people. Regardless of what the overall total is, some lives are being changed. And that's where that begins to emerge. Then you look at new pledges and average new pledge. Now, the more subjective questions obviously pick up on some of the principles we've talked about. Have the vestry members discussed their own stewardship? Have they made a statement of their own commitment? Are they committed to tithing? Has the rector made clear his or her personal stewardship commitment, and how? Were there sermons on stewardship by the rector, other clergy, laity? Were outside consultants or teachers used? What stewardship information and teaching was communicated to the parish, and how was it communicated? Were home visits a part of the stewardship education program? If so, were the callers trained in both the theology of stewardship and in how to make a call? Were the callers committed to the vestry statement? That's the ideal. If you're going to send callers, send committed callers. A lot of places have a hard enough time getting callers at all. They'll send any warm body out there and kind of wonder why people who don't believe in the vestry's commitment don't have very great impact in bringing others to a commitment. Committed callers makes the difference. Has a lay visitation of the parish been done apart from the pledging process? Were financial mission priorities and goals articulated? What were they? Does the parish use percentage goals for outreach? Is 50% the long-range goal? Was the budget formulated after the pledges were received, or how was it done? Those are questions that might help you take some of the insights that you might be gaining today back home and invite the vestry to do this kind of self-evaluation. It might raise some issues that would lead the vestry to say, hey, maybe it would benefit us to call Barbara Salisbury and invite some people to come in and help us. I would encourage you to reflect on the ways in which you can stir the pot back in your own congregation. It is very frustrating sometimes for one or two or a couple of people from a parish to come and get challenged by something or say, hey, this is exciting, and go back and say, but how do we get others to share in this? If you can communicate in any way what you have learned here in a way that leads the vestry to take on issues of stewardship for themselves and to address their own leadership, then I think you have served your parish well. Because you can't be expected to single-handedly transform the stewardship life of your congregation. You need the support of the vestry and the clergy.